All right, this week let's talk about a great stretch for your shoulders and low back. You would start in your hands and knees, or what we call a quadruped position, and we just rock back and get that stretch there. All right, we can go there, we can breathe and feel that. We're going to talk about modifications, variations of this stretch. It's a great stretch. The question is, though, is when you do this stretch, you might ask, am I doing yoga? The Am I Doing Yoga series is about a lot of good stretches and exercises that we might do that you can find in a fitness studio like I am in now. You can find them in a lot of tapes, and you might do them at the end of boot camp, but they might be called something like a child's pose or a cobra stretch, and these are yoga terms and yoga stretches. So that's where a Catholic might ask, am I doing yoga? Should I be doing yoga? I get a lot of emails. As a Catholic fitness professional, I get emails about two things, recently anyway, is can I do yoga? Should I be doing yoga? I just certified as a yoga instructor, and I realized it may not align with the Catholic faith. It's one thing to do a couple stretches, but now I'm learning about chakras and different types of, let's say, Eastern philosophy or Hindu or Indian meditation practices, and we might want to take a step back and think about some of these things, all right? But the purpose of this series is to talk about some of these stretches, where they appear to be yoga-like, but why they may still be beneficial, all right? This particular one is a child's pose, all right? So let's go through the exercise. We'll talk a little bit about the benefits and one other point about being a Catholic fitness enthusiast, all right? So to get this lower back stretch, if you've been sitting a lot, maybe just standing with poor posture, sitting with poor posture, we can talk about that in another video, is you always want to be standing as tall as you can, elongating your waist, your spine, and standing tall there. At some point, at 50, 60, 70, 80 years old, it won't be as easy as just telling your body to stand up straight. Your body will fight that a little bit more, right? So we want to do these mobility exercises to mobilize, think stretch or flexibility. We use the word mobility to mobilize the spine. A great stretch to do is this tuck and reach. We call it tuck and reach, but let's begin with a rocking exercise. So you come down on the floor. I am on a Blue Eric's pad. You can pick this up for 30, 40 bucks on Amazon or different like exercise outlets. But there's a thick pillow. You can be on a regular pillow. Maybe your carpet, maybe a couch cushion. It's a little thicker if you're gonna be there for a couple minutes, all right? And you'd find this in a physical therapy clinic. We stand on these for balance and things like that. I'm gonna kneel and then go down to my hands and knees. We call this a quadruped position. And the first thing we wanna do here, two things, is I just wanna rock back and forth. And what I'm doing, I'm just paying attention. I'm mindful of what's going on in my knees, what's going on in my hips. My toes are pointed, meaning my shoelaces are down. And so I just see, how do my ankles feel here? And then you can also pull your toes up. So now I'm kind of flexing my toes forward, and I can go into that stretch as well. This is just a nice mindful sort of check-in with how your joints are feeling to rock back and forth. And if you feel any tightness or tension, you can slowly go in and out of that. Don't hold it too much, all right? But be mindful of what that feels like, okay? Then we can stop here, and if you're bending over sometimes and getting something, you stretch this way, you stretch that way. A good spine mobility exercise to do is just to relax your spine, let your shoulder blades kind of fall together, and then pull your spine up towards the ceiling and tuck your tail. That's a good mobility exercise for your pelvis and your lower back. And then just relax down. You can let your shoulder blades come together. And then again, as you pull your spine up, you can tuck your tail, and you can, what we call, protract your shoulder blades, like spread your shoulder blades apart. All right. Now in the Catholic Fit program, we do a lot of animal exercises. We call them the Noah's Ark workout. We do a lot of bear crawls and crab walks and centipedes and all these different things. A lot of fun exercises for the kids, but they can benefit all of us. And so this is a prerequisite to be able to kind of get in this position. How well can you rock back and forth? If your knees are barking at you, you can just find that. You can get a little stretch there, which may help your squatting and sit to stand motion as well, all right? So that's checking in with your ankles, your knees, your shoulders. But then to sit back, that's the tuck, all right? So I'm tucking all the way back and I'm reaching forward. That's our tuck and reach exercise. So that might be enough. You can just hold that stretch there. If you've been diagnosed with, or maybe you've Googled, some sort of lower back or spine pain, you might think you have a bulging disc or something like that. This one is often okay. Again, listen to your body. Everybody's different and individual, but the press up we did last week is one that might bother a bulging disc because it might impinge that, but this one is usually okay. All right, so sit back there, get a good stretch. The picture in the thumbnail is actually a fit ball. Another great stretch to do with the fit ball incorporates a little more shoulder, back, and arm stretch, is to sit back the same way, but I'm going to use the ball to get an overhead stretch. So this works on my ability to reach overhead. So I'm going to go there. I can roll off to the side. This is a nice post-workout stretch. If you went for a long walk, you worked on some push-ups, go to that side, stretch off to this side, all right? And then right down the middle, and just let my chest fall to the floor, all right? And then I can actually add to that, staying in this tucked position, bring the ball out to the side, and I can get a good stretch across my chest and my shoulder by holding the ball there, okay? And just get that stretch across, which again, if I'm in this fetal position a lot here, I can pull back and get a good stretch that way, all right? So, and then one last one, we can add to this stretch by, instead of just going straight back to my heels, I can kind of go back to my right heel. I'm shifting a little bit to my right. I can go back to my left heel. And then I can actually go back and do kind of a circle. I go back to my right heel, rotate over to my left heel, and come back up. Then I go back to my left heel, tuck back, slide over to the right, and then come up. Okay? And this is a good exercise for my hips. Loosens up my hips, my lower back. All right? Anytime we can get that hip joint moving in these different planes, left to right, forward and backwards, that's just great WD-40 for your joints. It's just good lubrication. It's taking that big thigh bone and it's just kind of rotating that bone in that hip joint, moving it around different ways, and that's just great for joint health and kind of staving off some osteoarthritis and just for joint health, joint durability, and longevity. All right, these are the sorts of exercises where whether you're just mobility after a long day at your desk, or maybe you just feel like your hips and lower back are getting a little tighter, that can be just a daily exercise you do every day. All right. Now, the other stretch, and I'll add this point to this, is that I get that now. I'll do that for another video. Pardon me. I really want to talk about Matthew chapter 22, verse 34, really the greatest commandment. And I think when we think about what these exercises are, how important these exercises are, am I doing yoga? Am I exercising for the right reason? Am I focusing too much on vanity? Am I focusing on too much on how I look when I do these exercises? That's where we have to just take a step back. Matthew chapter 2, verses 34, but we all know the two greatest commandments, right? The greatest commandment is to love your God with everything that you have. Your mind, your body, your heart, your soul, all right? Give it up to God, and it's a priorities commandment, right? Keep your priorities straight. First things first, right? That we look at the world, we experience our world as human beings through the lens of the Catholic faith, through the lens of Christ, and through the lens of Christ's love for us and our love for Christ. Always working on that relationship with Christ. That's first and foremost. If you keep that in mind, and then you go into any context of life, go into your finances, go into your family, go into your fitness, and think, am I keeping my priorities straight? So it's okay to say, I want to look good, and therefore I'm going to burn some calories and get fit and tone up a little bit. But if that becomes your number one priority while you're exercising, then yes, that becomes vanity. Now, on the other side of the coin, we avoid vanity sometimes, and we sin with sloth and gluttony in the name of avoiding vanity, right? So it's always this balance. But I bring this up because when we think about yoga, or we think about why we're doing these exercises, that's the key, right? If you're going to a yoga studio and that's your way of de-stressing, and then you find yourself meditating and breathing, and you're losing sight of that mindfulness of keeping God first and keeping Christ first in our lives, that's where we may be tempted to fall off track a little bit. If we're doing good exercises and we're thinking the purpose of these exercises, the care for the temple of the Holy Spirit, is to express a self-love, because what is the second commandment in Matthew 22? The second commandment is to love your neighbor as yourself. And I believe taking care of yourself in the context of fitness, right? Working on your health, working on your fitness and your strength is going to allow you to increase your capacity for loving other people. right? It's a great form of self-love. All right? So keep that in mind. Keep your fitness purpose driven. Take care of the temple of your Holy Spirit. Honor your divine gifts of your physical fitness, your physical body. Get fit to serve. Get fit so you can take care of other people in your lives. That's what your focus is. Then those other things are secondary and tertiary. And as long as they are secondary and tertiary, a little bit of the vanity, a little bit of I just want to look good, I want to feel good, that's okay, right? But just keep your priorities straight and always reflect on the greatest commandment that Jesus gave us. All right? But keep doing this exercise. It's a great one for your lower back. It's a great one for your hips. And next week, I think we're going to go through the runner's pose or the lunge stretch in, am I doing yoga? Whatever you're doing, keep moving, be mindful. God bless you, and I'll see you next week.